Right, my first memory of seeing Split Enz and meeting them was in 1975, when we had decided as Roxy that it was time to go to Australia and New Zealand and do a bit of touring. So we got on a plane at Heathrow, and it was a very long journey. I mean, it's a long journey now, but it was even longer then. It was probably something, it took us about 27 hours or something to get via the Middle East, via India, you name it. We arrive in Sydney, absolutely shattered. I go to my hotel room, literally I have a visual on this, falling backwards on the bed, collapsing on the bed, turning the telly on, and there were Split Enz. I mean, talk about fate when I think about it. It's incredible. They had come over from New Zealand and they were on a show called GTK, and they were playing Stranger Than Fiction linked to Time for a Change. And I, in very sort of biased thought process, thought in Australia, what kind of music? It's going to be very backward, terrible, really. And I saw this stuff, and I thought, what the dickens is this mad music? And they're all dressed up and sort of strange people. So I thought that completely sort of blew my mind. And then turn up at the sound check at the Hobart Pavilion the next day for the first Roxy gig. They're the support band. So that's another incredible coincidence. Well, I had no idea who the support band was going to be. As it turns out, Island Records had to do with Michael Gudinski, and he was their manager, and so he would get them on with a whole bunch of people who would come out from the UK and play, and they just arrived. They hadn't recorded their first album, but I watched them from the side of the stage, thought they were incredible, and then walked past their dressing room, stuck my head in and said, wow, you guys, that's fantastic. Anything I can do to help? And I carried on walking. And this is my story, side of the story. A little head popped out and said, will you produce our album? And I thought, yeah, dream on, you're here. It took me 27 hours to get, and there's no way I'm coming back. Anyway, it transpired that they went and recorded Mental Notes in Sydney. And then, strangely enough, I got this call, or in those days, probably a telex, to the management company, my management company, saying, would you produce, they're coming over. And I'm not sure whether they actually had the deal with Chrysalis then, but something happened, they got the deal. And they came over, and, that was in 1976, the next year. And so 50 years later, we've been through lots of experiences together over the years, watching their development, watching it turn into Crowded House, Tim's solo albums, him playing on my solo albums. And then, quite frankly, I thought that they were totally broke before they went back to Australia the first time. And I'm sure I did pay them session fees to sing on both Tim, Neil and Eddie on K-Scope, and that probably helped pay for their tickets to go back home, from whence they rose like the ashes. As always, the music has to do it for you. And they wrote some great, more straightforward songs in some ways, with catchy choruses, and they became big and fantastic. And so it was a wonderful story. But that particular time when they were in London, they thought that it was just because it was their association with someone from Roxy and all that, we were huge, that would guarantee them instant success. Unfortunately, everybody was in fear of being cancelled by the punk scene. And we thought, well, we're bound to be for the chop. As it happened, Sex Pistols used our producer and our friend Chris Bedding to do their demos. So it seemed that we were somehow safe to a certain extent. But unfortunately, when Tim and the lads arrived, the timing wasn't right for them.